All right, today we're jumping into something pretty amazing. It's a new scientific model that shows us how we can actually support one of the most incredible things our bodies do, and that is growing new brain cells.
So, let me ask you, ever wonder if you can actually grow new brain cells as an adult? For the longest time, science said absolutely not. The brain you had was the brain you were stuck with. But, well, that whole idea has been completely turned on its head. We now know our brains have this incredible capacity for renewal, and it's happening right now, as you're listening.
Check this out, 700. And no, that's not a typo. Every single day, your hippocampus, which is kind of the brain's command center for learning and memory, it can churn out around 700 brand new neurons. And get this, it's not just for when you're young. This process keeps going well into our 90s. It's just a stunning testament to the brain's lifelong potential.
Okay, but there's a catch, right? This amazing renewal process, the scientific name for it is adult hippocampal neurogenesis, is actually pretty fragile. Things like aging and just the stress of modern life can really put the brakes on it. But here's the really exciting part. A new model gives us a clear, science-backed roadmap to not just protect this process, but to actually boost it.
Okay, so before we get to the solution, we've got to understand the process itself. Let's break down exactly how a new brain cell comes to life.
Now, this chart you're seeing, I know, it might look a little intense at first glance, but this is basically our guide for everything we're about to cover. It tells the whole story, from the things we do every day and our environment, all the way down to the tiny molecules that actually build and maintain new brain cells. Don't worry, we're going to walk through it step by step.
So the life of a new neuron is a real journey, and it happens in 5 key stages. First up is proliferation. That's just a fancy word for new brain stem cells being born. Then comes differentiation, where these baby cells decide what they want to be when they grow up, in this case, a neuron. After that, they have to migrate. They travel to exactly where they need to be. Then comes the tough part, survival. It's a bit of a survival of the fittest situation. Only the strongest new neurons get to stick around. And finally, for the ones that make it, there's integration. This is where they plug into the grid, connecting with the existing brain network and becoming a fully functioning part of the team.
So you might be wondering, what's powering this whole 5-stage production? What's the fuel? Well, it turns out there's a star player, a real MVP at the molecular level. Let's meet the hero of this story.
It's a protein with a mouthful of a name, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, but we'll just call it BDNF. Seriously, if you remember one thing, remember BDNF. It's basically the single most important ingredient for growing your brain. The best way to think about it is like fertilizer. It helps new neurons sprout, helps them survive, and helps them form super strong connections. The analogy miracle grow for your brain is, well, it's perfect. It's that important.
And what's really cool is that BDNF isn't a solo act. Not at all. It's more like the master conductor of an orchestra. It interacts with all these key neurotransmitters you've probably heard of, right? Like serotonin, dopamine, GABA. This intricate dance is what makes the whole neuron growing process work. And it's also deeply connected to our mental health, playing a huge role in things like depression and anxiety.
Okay, so if BDNF is the magic ingredient, the big question is obvious. How do we get more of it? And this is where this new model gets super practical and, frankly, really empowering. It lays out 3 powerful, interconnected ways to boost our own BDNF.
All right, this diagram right here, this is the core of the whole model. We've got 3 main pillars for what the researchers call environmental enrichment. They are physical activity, cognitive stimulation, and mindfulness. And the most important word here is synergy. They don't just work side by side, they actually work together, amplifying each other's effects to pump up our BDNF.
Now here's a crucial detail. These boosters work on different timelines. You can think of physical activity like a shot of espresso for your brain. It gives you a rapid, almost immediate spike in BDNF. But cognitive stimulation? That's more like a slow-release vitamin. It doesn't give you a quick jolt, but it builds up your BDNF levels steadily over the long haul.
So let's talk about that fast-acting booster first, physical activity. Now, the research is super clear on this. Any movement is good, don't get me wrong. But if you want the biggest, fastest bang for your buck when it comes to BDNF, you're going to want to look at short, intense bursts of exercise. We're talking about high-intensity interval training, or HIIT.
Okay, now for our slow-release capsule, cognitive stimulation. And please, this is not just about doing the Sunday crossword puzzle.
It's about challenging your brain with new things, with variety. I'm talking about visiting new places, trying to learn a new skill, even just getting a little lost in an unfamiliar part of town. All of these things help build up your BDNF reserves over time. It's a genuine long-term investment in your future brain.
And that brings us to the third pillar, mindfulness. Now this one plays a really interesting and unique role. It isn't so much about making more BDNF as it is about creating the perfect environment for it to flourish. You see, things like stress, high cortisol, and inflammation are like poison to BDNF. Mindfulness helps reduce all of that. So in a way, it protects the investment you're making with exercise and learning.
Okay, so we've got our 3 pillars: get active, stay curious, and be mindful. Now let's pull this all together and see how this actually works in the real world, in our day-to-day lives.
Believe it or not, where you spend your time has a huge impact on this. A so-called enriched environment is one that naturally nudges you towards those 3 pillars. Think of a city that's easy to walk around in, with lots of parks and interesting things to see. The opposite is an unenriched environment. It's one that pretty much forces you to be sedentary and bored. Think endless suburbs where you have to drive everywhere and everything looks the same.
And this framework you're seeing here, it's basically a blueprint for how to design a brain-healthy world. It's about being intentional. It shows how you connect physical activity with things like walkability, how you connect cognitive stimulation with novelty and complexity, and how you connect mindfulness with quiet, restorative spaces and something called biophilia, which is just our deep, built-in need to be around nature.
The good news is you don't have to pack up and move to start doing this. The research points to some really simple, powerful things you can do right now. Like taking the stairs instead of the elevator. They call that an exercise snack. Or intentionally seeking out new places in your own town. Go to a museum. Take a walk in a park you've never been to. Hey, even just smelling new and different scents can be a form of this cognitive enrichment. It's all about small changes.
So, what's the big picture? Why does all of this matter so much? Let's just zoom out for a second and look at the real implications of this stuff. This last diagram really ties it all together beautifully. It recaps the whole message, showing how all these things, our physical, cognitive, and mindful activities, they all feed into this amazing, self-sustaining cycle. They work together, they boost the BDNF, and that BDNF then fuels the creation of new neurons. It keeps the whole renewal process going for our entire lives. And this, right here, is the most crucial point of all. We are not just passive victims of an aging brain. Not at all. We can be active, hands-on participants in our own brain health. By making conscious choices about what we do and where we do it, we can literally shape an environment that stimulates our bodies, challenges our minds, and calms our souls.
And that really brings us to the final thought, and it's a question for you to take with you. After hearing all this, what's one small thing you can do? One small change you can make, maybe even starting today? How are you going to enrich your environment to build a better brain?